DETV News is brought to you by DART, Delaware Public Transit Service, moving you forward.
Hello and welcome to DETV News, your trusted news source. I'm Lauren Wilson. The COVID-19 state of emergency is officially over in Delaware. Wilmington's police chief visits the White House to discuss gun violence, and we'll have your local sports and weather. But first, part of the Tri-State Mall in Claymont is coming down to make way for the new. Here with more on that is Matt Ford.
Now we're on Tri-State Mall today to remove this blighted, awful, terrible building, which has been the subject of so much controversy and anger.
5 years after the Tri-State Mall largely closed down, the former shopping destination near the Pennsylvania border is set for a major redevelopment by New York-based retail estate investment firm KPR. One of the first steps in that redevelopment, tearing down of the old Levitt's furniture outlet. Within days of taking ownership in June, KPR applied for demolition permits for the former furniture store more than 12 years after the store closed, following the brand's bankruptcy liquidation.
Today we are very excited. We are finally getting started on the demolition of the Levitt's building. It's been an eyesore in the county for a long time, and this is one of our first steps in the revitalization of the Tri-State Mall.
The mall opened in the late 1960s, featuring Grant City and Wilmington dry goods as its anchor stores. The mall housed numerous specialty stores, eateries, and other retailers throughout the 70s and 80s, even a movie theater. The acquisition of the Tri-State Mall comes at a time of revitalization for Claymont, with some residents telling us they're hoping for a Costco, Walmart, or even an IKEA to come to the area. The redevelopment could restart an economic engine that caters to Pennsylvanians looking to take advantage of Delaware's lack of sales tax. Now, what happens to the entire 41-acre property after it's leveled remains to be determined.
Our hopes are many that we create a positive use for this site, and that could be anything from amenities, restaurants. It could be strictly good-paying jobs. We would consider that a win, something that is going to add to the Claymont Renaissance effort.
Now, the Tri-State Mall, which sits at just over 500,000 square feet, was once Delaware's fourth largest mall, with about 50 shops inside. Now, this anchor store behind me was once a Kmart, Value City, and most recently a Burlington coat factory, but now sits empty. The mall's vast corridors have largely been used as storage for a housing material supplier. Matt Ford, DETV News.
Thanks, Matt. The COVID state of emergency is officially over in Delaware after more than a year. Governor John Carney lifted the order this week. It was first issued on March 13th, 2020 to control the spread of the deadly virus.
So we did reach our goal. We're up to 71% of adult Delawareans 18 and over with at least one dose of the vaccine. At the same time, though, we have young adults who feel less vulnerable, for sure, and the data supports that. But we need them to get vaccinated because we could have an outbreak, and many of the cases that we're seeing now are in that unvaccinated group, 18 to 35-year-olds, young adults. So if you're in a bar and a restaurant where they're mostly young adults and nobody's wearing masks, a lot of those people are maskless, unvaccinated folks.
Also on Monday, Carney signed a scaled-down public health emergency order that allows state agencies and other medical providers to continue providing COVID-19 vaccination and testing programs. Those programs will continue to be free to the public. Meanwhile, long-term care facilities will continue to follow the state's existing visitation and testing guidances in order to keep those residents healthy and safe. Visitation by loved ones is encouraged, but the type of visitation depends on each facility's number of positivity cases along with the county's overall COVID-19 positivity rate. and the percentage of residents who are vaccinated. Visitors should check with their long-term facilities before arriving for visits. As for the Delaware Division of Motor Vehicles, it's back to pre-COVID-19 normal operating conditions. That means DMV buildings will return to full capacity. Still, customers who have not been fully vaccinated are encouraged to continue wearing face coverings. Driver license and vehicle registration suspensions for bad checks will resume, and so will notifications to uninsured motorists and those with any outstanding balance owed to the DMV. Road test and counter eye exams are also set to resume. Stay with us, there's more news ahead.
When a child in your life requires intensive care, their health fragile, their condition complex, certified acute care pediatric and neonatal nurse practitioners will give you the information and support you need to make the best decisions for your child, while providing the critical care your child needs. Trained to diagnose and manage life-threatening conditions and emergencies, they are trained to make a difference. Learn why at certifiednurses.org.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
We're back. State Attorney General Kathy Jennings announced the state of Delaware reached a landmark $50 million settlement with 3 local chemical giants, DuPont, Chemours, and Corteva. The case is related to water pollution and contamination from toxic compounds known as forever chemicals because they do not break down in the environment. They include thousands of compounds used in the production of household and personal items, including water repellent, clothing, carpeting, and more. Their use resulted in contaminated drinking water in Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Exposure is linked to some cancers as well as cholesterol and thyroid problems. The 3 companies agreed to pay the state an additional $25 million if claims in other states reach more than $50 million. Well, we don't need the National Weather Service to issue those heat advisories that let us know it's really hot outside. It's been so hot, AAA is reminding drivers to watch for children and pets left in cars. Here with more on that is NIKAI Morales.
With record-breaking heat wave temperatures in the West Coast and plenty of hot days ahead of us, it is time to talk about keeping your loved ones safe from vehicular heat stroke. Heat stroke is one of the leading causes for non-crash related fatalities for children under 14. Car interiors can quickly reach lethal temperatures, causing internal organs to shut down if helpless individuals are left inside unattended. Hot parking lots like the one we stand in currently can claim victims as young as 1 year old, and some of our furry friends. So far in 2021, 7 children have died from vehicular heat stroke. 26 lives were claimed in 2020, but the highest was 54 in the year 2018. 1,000 children have died in cars within the past 3 decades, averaging about 39 lives per year. Ken Grant, Manager of Public and Government Affairs for AAA Mid-Atlantic, gave some insight on the issue.
At just a 72-degree day, you are looking at a situation where a child locked inside could suffer a heat stroke, could possibly end up being fatal. In a 90-degree day, you could see the interior of the car reach temperatures of up to 180 degrees, and it doesn't take long. We just did an experiment recently where we set a thermometer inside a car on a dashboard, and it started off around 80 degrees, and within 10 minutes, it had already gotten over 120 degrees.
If you notice a child left in a car unattended on a hot day, then call 911 immediately. This is NIKAI Morales for DETV News.
Thanks, NIKAI. On Monday, Wilmington Police Chief Robert Tracy headed to the nation's capital to discuss gun violence with President Biden. Tracy was among several law enforcement officials invited to hear about Biden's comprehensive plan to reduce gun violence, including stopping the illegal flow of firearms and targeting rogue gun dealers. Wilmington City Council members are also focusing on gun violence. Xanthia Oliver called together many community partners and leaders to participate in a rally on Sunday at the Kirkwood Street Park to condemn gun violence, in particular, black-on-black crime. There was food, music, and lots of information about community resources, along with medical professionals to administer COVID-19 vaccines. The rally featured nationally known speaker Elder Joseph Paul Jr., who has worked with ex-offenders for more than 27 years. A Wilmington pastor has been elevated to an international role. Reverend Dr. Sylvester Scott Beaman, pastor of Bethel AME Church, was elected and consecrated bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Beaman delivered the benediction at President Biden's inauguration. He will serve the 15th Episcopal District, which includes Western South Africa, Nambia, and Angola. Delaware Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester held a hearing in Wilmington this week to discuss the Reconnecting Communities bill recently passed by the House of Representatives. If passed, the bill infuses $3 billion into local communities divided by the national highway system. Back in the early 1960s, several hundred homes, churches, and businesses on the west side of Wilmington were demolished to make way for I-95. The bill is now headed to the U.S. Senate.
A portion of Wilmington was divided in half. Communities of color, one side, white communities on the other. We went through Richmond, same thing. We went through Washington, same thing. All up and down the East Coast. When we built I-95, that's exactly what happened. And it's not just I-95. It happened in the communities across the country. Well, I don't know that it was deliberate. But I think what happened is the folks who were most disadvantaged, whose lives were most impacted, had the least influence and ability to say, no, this is not right, this is not fair.
Lawmakers like Carper hope the measure becomes a part of the infrastructure package signed by President Biden. If the bill is approved, Wilmington will need to apply for a grant to build a new park. Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long joined national mental health advocates Patrick and Amy Kennedy Tuesday to lead a discussion around behavioral health initiatives and the expansion of social-emotional learning for Delaware students.
So our goal today was to make sure every child in the state has that equal opportunity to look at trauma prevention and to have those mental health resources.
Through their work with the Kennedy Forum, Patrick and Amy help advocate for increased investment in mental health supports and services for children from elementary school through college. Held at William Penn High School, the discussion focused on how funds from the American Rescue Plan can help support students. In other news, Newcastle County Police are asking for the public's help in locating a Delaware man who they say killed a 23-year-old man whose identity has not yet been released. His body was found in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, after officers were notified of a suspicious vehicle. The victim's body was found inside that vehicle, which was traced to a house in the 1600 block of Coleman Street in Wilmington, where police believe the murder occurred. During the investigation, 28-year-old Sean Tyler was named the main suspect. Police consider him armed and dangerous and ask anyone who sees him to avoid contact and to instead call 911. Newcastle County Emergency Medical Services Division is getting ready to launch its 4th Paramedic Training Academy, and they're offering a paycheck to new recruits for the job. To apply for the spot, candidates must be at least 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and 3 years of driving experience. Applicants must pass exams for reading comprehension, writing, and arithmetic, physical fitness testing, along with a background check. Those accepted will then be paid as part of their training, which is said to be accelerated, extensive, and last about a year. Why all that training? Officials say Newcastle County paramedics take on responsibilities of an emergency room in the field, complete with a vehicle that amounts to a mobile hospital. A Newark woman is charged with fraudulently receiving almost $250,000 in CARES Act funding for businesses that officials say weren't operational during the pandemic. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Anna Soto submitted applications to the U.S. Small Business Administration for 5 separate businesses. Some of the businesses were either already closed or hadn't yet opened. Officials said some of the applications were denied, but Soto still managed to illegally receive the money she allegedly used for personal purchases like a new vehicle. Soto faces a maximum sentence of 20 years in federal prison if convicted. Stay with us. There's sports coming up with Nick Alessandrini after the break.
National Prevention Week is a celebration of all the things that happen all year long.
Prevention is at the core. It's mental health, physical health.
Some of our National Prevention Week activities have been focusing on the illegal drugs, illegal use of opioids.
Drugs, alcohol, mental health, suicide, underage drinking, tobacco use. Prevention is about saving lives.
This is where it happens.
This is Prevention at Work.
Thanks, Lauren, and we will start with the 2021 MLB Draft, and a couple of Delaware natives heard their names called earlier this week. Cape Henlopen grad Zach Geloff and Caravel grad Aaron Holiday will both be heading to the Bay Area. Zach Geloff was taken Monday in the second round with the 60th pick by the Oakland A's. Geloff was on the 2018 Cape baseball team that claimed the school's only state championship with a 5-3 game victory over Caravel. Geloff also helped Virginia advance deep into this year's College World Series. The Athletics weren't finished yet, as they would look again to the first date on Tuesday when they used their 13th round pick on former Caravel Buccaneer and Old Dominion right-hander Aaron Holiday. Grail Sports has announced that their summer basketball league will take a brief hiatus during the NCAA live period this July. They took to Twitter to announce the change after discussing it with high school and college coaches last week. And the Summer League will now run from August through September, and Grail believes that this time switch will allow more eyes to be on those players come game time. Some more coaching news this week as the St. Mark's Spartans have found their new basketball head coach. Lonnie Wright will take the reins for the Spartans after the departure of longtime coach Nick Santa. Wright joins the St. Mark's after a long stint as a DMA assistant coach and brings with him over 25 years of coaching experience. Wright explained Wednesday, "I want to build a winning tradition and create an environment where my players will be successfully both academically and athletically." The Gamma Mu Nu Foundation will be holding a special event on Sunday where they are giving away over 200 pairs of Under Armour cleats and gloves, as well as more at Red Lion High School. The foundation welcomes all on July 18th between the hours of 2 and 4 p.m., 1 pair of cleats and 1 pair of gloves per child per person, and it will be first come, first served with sizes limited from 8 to 13. So come check it out Sunday, July 18th, 2 to 4 p.m., and get yourself a new pair of cleats and gloves, courtesy of the Gamma Mu Nu Foundation. A special thanks to all that were able to make it to the 76ers Fieldhouse on Monday for a workout with NFL linebacker and former UD Blue Hen Troy Reeder to help bring awareness to mental health. Reeder teamed up with Titus Sports Academy and the Fieldhouse to host a community-free workout to help benefit the SL24 Unlock the Light Foundation. The SL24 Foundation is in memory of St. Mark's and UD grad Sean Locke, and for more information, you can visit unlockthelight.com. And now we are going to go back to week 3, and we're going to take 5 plays as we continue our plays of the year. So getting us started this week at number 5 is going to be NIKAI Rodriguez-Bryant from Wilmington Christian, and we're going to pick it up here in transition. Rodriguez-Bryant going to catch the entry feed, elevate, and throw it down with one hand. NIKAI Rodriguez-Bryant getting us started at number 5. On to number 4 and the Caesar Rodney Riders. Quite the wrestling program down there at Caesar Rodney. And here's multiple-time state champ Kevin Hudson going to show you how to do the tomahawk headlock, throw him right to his back, looking for bonus points here. And he's going to get 6 with the pin for the Riders. Kevin Hudson at number 4. On to number 3, Quentin Turner from the Mount Pleasant Green Knights here in the winter, doing battle at William Penn High School here. Green Knights up by 4. First half coming to a close. Quentin Turner going to elevate, knock it down off the glass at the buzzer at the end of the first half. Big bucket there for Quentin Turner. On to number 2, Jalen Warner and Jeremiah Lumpkin-Beal from Delmar going to turn the defense into offense. There's Warner with the steal, going to lead it in transition. He's going to go off the glass, and then there's Beal for the putback dunk. Check it out here, a different angle on the follow. What a dunk there and a big play at number 2 for Delmar. On to number 1, Jabri White from the St. Mark's Spartans. They just got to coach Lonnie Wright, and he's going to be excited to see some of these plays. White going to drive baseline, elevate, throw it down with the right hand. Check it out again in slow-mo. What a dunk there by Jabri White and St. Mark's. And that'll do it for our top plays in our sporting news this week. Now back to Lauren.
Thanks, Nick. The Slasianum community is mourning the loss of a 2021 graduate. Colin Brady, who played for the school's football and rugby teams, died over the weekend in a car accident. The school announced the death and identified Brady in a Facebook post. The Swayze Adams School hosted a gathering for students and families Sunday night on campus and had a prayer service inside the gymnasium. Stay with us. We'll have more news after a look at the local forecast. Six months after a federal appeals court in Philadelphia overturned fraud and conspiracy convictions for 4 former Wilmington Trust executives, the U.S. Attorney's Office announced there will be no retrial. Former executives, including the bank president, were initially convicted of fraud, conspiracy, and lying to regulators and investors for failures that led to the bank's collapse. All 4 executives were eventually set free on appeal. The court did order a retrial, but the U.S. Attorney General's office opted not to pursue the case any longer. A rash of vehicle thefts in Newcastle County has prompted state police to issue a warning about leaving your car unattended. Police say a large majority of the thefts have occurred from gas stations where cars were left unattended, idling, or unlocked while the victim went into the store for a quick purchase. Delaware law imposes a fine of $25 to $75 for leaving an idle car unattended. In entertainment news, Wilmington's beloved Clifford Brown Jazz Fest is coming back. More with that is Tina B.
Thanks, Lauren. Our Mayor Mike Prizicki and I invite you all back to Rodney Square for the 34th annual Clifford Brown Jazz Festival, Wilmington's premier music event and the largest free jazz festival on the East Coast. The festival's Rodney Square main stage concerts will be held on Wednesday, August 4th through Sunday, August 8th, with performances starting at 5:30 Wednesday through Friday, noon on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. This year's performers include Kirk Whalum, Jasmine Horn, Eric Benet, Diane Reeves, Kenny Barron, Terrell Stafford, and many, many more. For a complete lineup and more information, visit CliffordBrownJazzFest.com. See you all in Rodney Square for the 34th annual Clifford Brown Jazz Festival. Back to you, Lauren.
Jazz Fest really is one of the city's most popular events. And finally, for the first time in the history of the Milton-based brewery named DOGFISH, the brewery has its own ice cream. And yes, there's booze in it. DOGFISH teamed up with alcohol-infused ice cream makers Tipsy Scoops for a line called Hazy O Ice Cream, named after the Hazy O Dogfish beer that was first released in February. Just like the brew, the ice cream was made with oat milk, making it a dairy-free frozen treat. There's only one place you can buy it, and that's online at tipsyscoop.com. The ice cream is available to be shipped to all 50 states while supplies last. Well, that's our report for this week. I'm Lauren Wilson. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
DETV News is brought to you by DART, Delaware Public Transit Service, moving you forward.